नमस्कार, मैं अशोक व्यास हूँ और आज का कार्यक्रम विशेष रूप से केंद्रित रहने वाला है जन्माष्टमी पर्व के ऊपर। जन्माष्टमी यानी श्री कृष्ण भगवान के प्रकट होने का अवसर, उसको उत्साह के साथ में, भक्ति के साथ में, श्रद्धा के साथ में और बहुत सारी प्रेरणाओं का आह्वान करते हुए मनाया जाता है। इस उत्सव को विशेष रूप से मनाने के लिए हमने आज आमंत्रित किया है डॉक्टर अतुल चौकसी जी को। तो सबसे पहले आपकी उपस्थिति का लाभ लेते हुए आपको प्रणाम है। जय श्री कृष्ण।
जय श्री कृष्ण।
हम कृष्ण भगवान का जन्मदिन बहुत धूमधाम से मनाते हैं, आपको पता है। अब तो हम अमेरिका में भी जो लाइव टेलीकास्ट होता है वहां से, वृंदावन से, और वो सब देखते हैं। और अमेरिका में भी बहुत सारे मंदिरों में कृष्ण जी के जन्मदिन की धूम मचने वाली है आज, विशेष करके रात 12 बजे के आसपास। तो अगर आपके बचपन की तरफ चलते हैं, क्योंकि वैसे तो हम श्री कृष्ण के बचपन की बात करने वाले हैं, पर ऐसा होता है कि एक स्वरूप विशेष के प्रति एक आकर्षण धीरे धीरे अंकुरित होता है, बढ़ता है। आपने जब पहले पहले कृष्ण भगवान की लीला कथाएं सुनी होंगी या उनके स्वरूप के प्रति एक आकर्षण हुआ होगा। और मैं 30 सेकंड में ये भी कह लूं कि एक वो जो प्रारंभ में बालपन में एक निश्चल मन से होता है, और एक वो जो कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट बनने के बाद में श्रीमद् भगवद गीता का अध्ययन मनन करते हुए कृष्ण का स्वरूप आपके अंदर स्पष्ट होता है। दोनों की हम चर्चा करेंगे, पर पहले बचपन की तरफ चलते हैं। डॉक्टर साहब,
Since early childhood, I had a special affinity for Lord Krishna because my family we are Vaishnavas. So my mother was a great devotee of Lord Krishna. So Krishna always charmed me as far as the form is concerned, as far as the knowledge is concerned, and later on, because during the medical school and other things, we were just studying mostly. But when I started practice, then there was some time available, and that time, fortunately, I got exposed to Bhagavad Gita, and that interested me immensely.
तो भगवत गीता की तरफ जाने से पहले फिर एक बार चलते हैं। वो जो उत्सव का वातावरण होता है, डॉक्टर साहब, आपने भारत में भी देखा होगा, और एक तो उद्घोष होता है नंद के आनंद भयो जय कन्हैया लाल की। तो थोड़ी सी चर्चा इस पर आपके साथ करते हैं कि जन्म तो उनका हुआ कारागार में, और वो देवकी जी के पुत्र थे, और उनके पहले जो जो उनके भाई रूप में आ रहे थे उन सबको कंस, जो उनके मामा जी थे, उनके द्वारा वो ये श्राप या आकाशवाणी सुनी थी कि वो 7वां पुत्र होगा या 8वां, कौन सा था जो तेरा काल होगा, इसलिए वो नारद जी, और वो सारा एक प्रसंग आता है, बहुत लंबा सा। पर बात इस पे करते हैं कि जब वो पता चला कि गोकुल में कि नंद के घर पे बालक हुआ है, तो वस्तुतः जन्म तो उनका मथुरा में कारागार में हुआ था, पर मनाया गया उत्सव यहाँ पर वृंदावन में गोपियों के साथ में। तो वो वाला जो प्रसंग है, वो क्या भाव हमारे लिए जागृत करता है आज कई हजारों वर्षों के बाद भी।
So, as we all know, Krishna stands for Dharma, and he's a great lover of Dharma. He comes whenever he comes in Avtara. That his main job is to promote Dharma and destroy Adharma. So when Lord Krishna was born, he appeared to Devaki ji and Vasudev, so that I am the Lord Almighty. He showed his four-armed Swarup for a time being, and then again became a baby. And miraculously, everything worked out the way Lord wanted. So he was in the Karagar, which is under the tight supervision of many. But his magical power, everybody fell asleep and the locks opened up, and he was taken by his father to a safe place, because he knew that if I leave him here, he will get killed. And so that is the Lord's Leela, Lord's power, that it went on very nicely. So during that time in the Yamuna Ji, there was a big flood. So the stories that Puranas that Lord was carrying him, I mean Vasudeva was carrying him in a basket, and the God kept his leg just dangling. So his feet touched the water, and water never came up more than the neck of the Father. So that way, the passage was created by Lord, and he was taken to safe.
So etymologically, as we are told, the name Krishna, one of course it refers to the color, which was dark skinned, but another is it he attracts. So Krishna is the one who attracts, and
Yes,
for that, all his leelas are full of inspiration for devotees and for artists alike. Many
yeah,
paintings owe their origin to Krishna Leela, be it dances, be it the classical singing. So Krishna is everywhere.
yes,
The, the presence of Krishna is palpably felt, is being felt even after thousands of years. But let us come back to that particular moment briefly when the Gokul Vasis, Gopis, learnt that Yashomati has blessed with a son. And the way Bhagavad describes that scene, it even now brings vividly in front of us with all the description of the colors and the flowers and the festivities which were observed. So now I will relate it to our present world. We are many times so much bogged down with what is happening around us. We are so much in tension. So when you have a way of transporting your mind to such a jovial and uplifting scene, it indeed it does something positive for us. Talk to us about that, Dr.
so this, like you said, this is very well described in Bhagavad Purana, and so this is all divine power of God, so that it causes a special attraction of the devotees. But you have to be a devotee to get attracted, and that happens that way. So
So
there is no explanation after so many years. Even the name and the incidents you remember, and you read those pages, it creates a very positive and charming feeling in everyone.
absolutely. And as I was recollecting earlier, Nand ke Anand Vayo Jai Kanhaiya Lal ki, that chant
Something.
itself
Yeah.
vibrates. Absolutely. And so, in our devotional tradition, the importance of kirtana and singing has always been emphasized and practiced. And as who gets attracted to Krishna is not limited to the geographical space which we refer to as Devbhumi Bharat, but anybody from any place. So now I'll share with you a part of the Kirtana, which was in the middle of the discourse by the Swamiji, whose color would tell you that he was not born in India, but he speaks Hindi very well. And of course, the chant is special too. So So we have to be in that atmosphere to get in tune to. But very briefly, let me now come towards the topic that we have, and mind, as well as how to control mind, is very very important. Makhan also is symbolic in terms of in terms of the transformation that takes place in the milk, and then it has its own inner journey. So that way, when our mind is refined, we look at the beautiful aspect of life and relate to that which is glorious. So talk to me about your fascination for Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where now from Balakrishna to Yogeshwara Krishna, we see him sharing something which has remained relevant for all these centuries.
So, so God, the greatest contribution of Lord Krishna in this avatara was that he left Bhagavad Gita for us. So that is the greatest contribution. Of course, he removes a lot of evil forces from the planet that time. Uh, so the Bhagavad Gita, he guided Arjuna in the worst possible situation a human being can get into, and from that where he was totally broken down, and this knowledge he infused in Arjuna, and that made a transformation in the mind and intellect of Arjuna, that he was convinced, he was free of any delusions, and he says, Karishe vachanam tava, after listening to the whole discourse. So, really, Lord wants us to understand how this mind, intellect works and how we get into trouble. Because most of our happenings here in the world, that whether you are sorrowful, you are agitated, restless, wanting something, or feeling incomplete, all this is because of the tricks of the mind. So it is really not no other factor can cause you sorrows if you are, or if your mind is mature and prepared. So Lord says, don't blame anybody for your sorrows, for your miseries, for your restlessness. Not circumstances, not any people. It is your mind that is doing it. And if your mind is not prepared with the knowledge, means ignorance causes this problem. The cause of our suffering is ignorance, and the treatment is knowledge.
So, talking about knowledge and the name of Mohan, so some people just for the sake of call it fun, or they said where you do not have moha, that is Mohan. So, going beyond detachment, that is
Yes,
also one suggestion which comes from
yes,
Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Before we come to detachment, Dr. Sahib, attachment is something which makes life interesting. Does detachment take away what we refer to as joy or having fun in life? How would you say detachment helps in sustaining the joyful flow of life?
yeah. See, detachment is attachment and love. They are separate things. You can have profound love and still be not attached. So whenever we encounter any circumstances, we get attached, or means raga means attachment, and dvesha means aversion. Any sensory input from any objects or person, that includes emotions also. Either we like it favorable and we get attached to it, or we get aversion and we want to avoid that. The avoiding or is also a kind of attachment, that I don't want that negative surrounding, negative person, negative emotion. So both are attachments. Attachment to raga means likable things, and dvesha means hateful things. That I want this, I cannot tolerate this. These two we compartmentalize, and that is the cause of pain, Lord says. It is, you must remain neutral, not getting attached to favorable or unfavorable circumstances. Rag, dvesh, and attachment. These three things makes us go in circles. If you're not attached, you can still have love, profound love. You can enjoy the world the way everybody else is enjoying, and still not don't become victim of the circumstances.
So now what you are saying is a very tall order. I mean, it might sometimes appear that one may even consider that not getting attached to the favorable, but not considering to run away or stay away from that which is unfavorable as you were saying, raga, dvesha. So you don't like it strongly because you feel it is going to work for you in a way which doesn't help you in bringing out the best in you. So you naturally are inclined towards it. So, but there is some deeper layer when the evenness of mind or being unaffected with positive as well as negative. This concept is very difficult to comprehend and practice. Talk to me about your own your own experience in this front.
Yeah, I mean, see, the only attachment will bring you pain. Presence of presence of an object or absence of object is, objects don't have any positive or negative feeling. Like I love pizza, and someone next to me hates pizza. Pizza itself has no capacity to attract or repel on its own. But when I came across that experience, my mind I convinced that okay, this is likable, this is very good, and it made an impression in my mind. So that's how the raga develops. That next time I talk about it or I'm exposed to that, that feeling comes back from my part of consciousness, which is called chitta, means stored memories. So if you do not compartmentalize, yes, if I get this, that's fine. If I don't get, that's fine. Don't make any special place for an object in your consciousness. That is called attachment. If you don't make it, then it won't bother you. You can do it at your will, but you're not forced or compelled by your mind. It means the mind is under your control. If you do not control with a mature intellect, then mind controls you. Says I want this, and then you have to have this, and then it will jump to another object, another person, and that will keep moving from here to there. But if your mind is mature, then it becomes optional for you what to do.
So what you are referring to is that state where you have complete control over your mind, which I guess very few people manage to
That is
attain that
that is
state.
that is called sthit pragna, and this does not happen on its own. So for that you have to make a positive effort. That's what God says. Is he God explains to Arjuna that first he explains that you are an immortal soul. You are not this body. Immediately after that, he says that matra sparsastu kunteya sitoshna sukh dukhda agma painyo nitya tanti tiksa bharata. Arjuna, in this life, you will come across sense objects or incidences. Matra sparsastu sitosh. They are of the nature of giving you pleasure and pain. So sitoshna sukh dukhda. Agma painyo anitya. They are of the nature of coming and going. Anitya, transient, anitya. Tan titiksasva bharata. Learn to bear with it. Example, if I say I love summer and I hate winter, then I become a victim of the seasons, that they are going to come. You will have to put up with the winter, you will have to put up with summer. But my mind made a special place for summer, that this is I like, this is I hate. But you will have to face both. That's why titiksha, that's why you have to develop that quality of as a training to the mind to be pleasant, equally treat all circumstances, and do not become labile. Emotional lability goes away. So because these things are going to happen. Which is all the sad incidences, whether sad incident, pleasant, happens to a beggar to billionaire. So if the mind is not mature with the reasoning, So then you are emotional being. So you will be happy, you will be sad, you will be crying, you will be lamenting, and any little thing will disturb you. So that's why God says that you have to train your mind. So that's why all our scripture says, "Man eva manushyanam karanam bandhana mokshayo." Only mind, eva means only. Man eva manushyanam karanam means a cause. Karanam bandhan mokshayo. Whether I feel I'm bound or I'm liberated, I'm sorrowful or I'm in a bad circumstances and sad, all that is in my mind because the circumstances happen to everyone. And one person develops a heart attack and gets broken down because no, he cannot comprehend. While the other one who has trained his mind will take these circumstances with very acceptable way, very normal way. Yeah, it's body, it can happen. It happened to me. Let me take care of it, and then he moves forward. But he emotionally doesn't get ruined. So that is the difference.
So talking about the difference, and many times when a wise person says things which make sense, we just nod, and somewhere at the back of our mind, we feel that it's actually not practical. So why I say that is, you said you took the example of pizza, which is a different sort of an entity. But if we are talking about the presence of a person, whether the kind of energy which he or she brings for you, will it affect you or not affect you, would depend on how you have the fort of your mind in place, so that what goes in is very well checked. How to reach to the state where external factors, including the presence of people who are not favorable for you, who may not like you, also doesn't affect you negatively. Now, allow me to mention the flip side of it is, we always hear the importance of satsang, that is being in the presence of holy men, etc. And we said that it makes good impression. So, going by the same logic, if the good is bringing good in you, the bad is likely to bring bad in you. Kindly explain this apparently appearing as a paradox.
See, the world is a mixture of good and bad. You cannot separate it out. It existed from the time of origin of this planet, and it will stay. So, you can only prepare yourself. You cannot change the circumstances, whether it is your family or friends or employees. You cannot change. You have to prepare yourself and makes yourself immune to their behavior. And if it is not compatible, you avoid such circumstances, no? So like that's why it says that, to develop the positive qualities in you, you need positive reading of the scriptures. Satsang, he said that is a company of great people, company of good people, so that the disturbances to your mind is reduced to the as much as possible. But still, you will have to face that. That time, you know that this person or this situation is full of tamas and bad qualities. So you are aware about that. You will try to avoid it and move forward.
Absolutely. And as we just have few minutes, I'll recollect the theme that we have taken: Mohan, Makkhan, and mind. So, in essence, we are talking about mind, and we are taking the help of the festival of Janmashtami. And I think, if you agree with me, Dr. Sam, I'll say that the teaching of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and the material or the resource of empowering humankind, which was being offered by Lord Krishna, where he also says, Man mana bhav mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru.
Yes.
In essence, he's highlighting the significance of being his devotee and having constant remembrance. And I think in that context, he already gave enough of material in the form of his leelas. So it is helpful on the day of Janmashtami, or immersing your mind in his leelas, uh, to develop bhakti. So talk to me about how. you were guided or helped in having the kind of clarity that you have about the teaching of Bhagavad Gita and the Bhakti?
So that's why God, God, God explains that your mind is going to play tricks. So God says, "Give me your mind." So so means you establish your mind in me as well as your intellect in me. मय्येव मन आधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वम् असंशय. First teaching he tells in chapter 12, मय्येव, put your mind in me. At the moment we have put our mind in the world. So as long as we have put the mind in the world with the hope that something good will come, there is nothing good going to come out of the world. So God says, "My eva mana atatsva." Not only your mind, because you need intellect which guides it. My eva mana atatsva, my buddhi nivese. And that then what will happen? Nivasisyasi my evam ata urdhvam asansaya. Then after you will live in me. If at the moment our mind is in the world, our intellect is in the world, mind has corrupted our intellect, that yes, there is pleasure and by hook or crook you get it, more pleasure, it will do you a lot of good. That is our delusion, false belief. It's called delusion. We have made up our mind that there is happiness in the world, while that is wrong, it is an error. There is no happiness in the world. God says, forget about it. Dukhalayam asasvatam. It is full of tragedies and it is transient. We made a wrong conclusion intellectually, so that no, there is a lot of joy, and if I did not get, it doesn't matter, but other people are getting it. So I am trying to work, and we work for years and years to get that little drops of happiness here and there. God says, but there is no happiness. I'm telling you. These all activities are rajas. Rajasastu phalam dukkham. God tells exactly one quarter of a sloka that any activity which is rajasic will cause you pain. Rajasastu phalam dukkham. So all these our activities which are guided by our senses and worldly objects leads us to painful end or more thirst. We remain thirsty, we remain wanting, and it's a transient drop of happiness we get, and we are happy with it. God says, don't get happy with that. Just come towards me, you will be totally blissful, and your hankering will go away.
Beautiful. Very well put, Dr. Sahab. And considering the image that I have behind me, Lord Krishna
Yes.
protecting as well as breaking the ego of Indra. So when
Yes.
we surrender and go beyond ego, that is the way to get the Makkhan
Yeah.
or the pure joy of life, which Lord Krishna symbolically also is ready to share and part with.
And the sloka that you mentioned, Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vesesi yuktevam atmanam matpara. He tells that at the end of the 9th chapter. And this is the only part he has repeats. One sloka is repeated in the 18th chapter. There he makes a little change. Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vesesi satyam te Pratijane Priyosime. I take an oath that you will, doing this, you will be without doubt merge with me, and I'm telling you that final truth to you. So
Beautiful. So,
God, God
Dr.
wants us
yeah,
to God, God,
considering, yeah,
God
considering
wants
the,
us God wants us to be His devotee.
absolutely,
He-
Doctor, considering the
he-
time limitation, I think we'll have to leave it at that for now. But
yes,
again, the invocation of bliss by uh, meditating on Him, and especially on this day of Janmashtami, was again such a pleasure talking about Lord Krishna and about how to control mind with Dr. Atul Chokshi with lots and lots of good wishes. Namaste. Happy
namaste.
Janmashtami.